What is up, YouTube? Today I'm bringing you guys a raw talk explaining exactly the entire story of how I went from 96 miles an hour in college and a draft prospect, an MLB draft prospect, to getting the Yips and ultimately having my full scholarship taken away and being out of baseball. This is going to be a raw talk, completely raw, no script, just exactly how I remembered it. So if I stutter or have to think about things a little bit, just bear with me. But if you follow me on social media, you know that I've talked about this quite a bit. I've posted some stuff here and there, but never actually talked about the full story. I've told this story multiple times to a bunch of my close friends, obviously family, but never actually recorded a video talking about the full thing. So let's just get right into it. So right before college, I was both, right? I was an outfielder and a pitcher, left-handed pitcher. Honestly, I was mainly an outfielder, right? So before COVID happened, I ended up committing to a college in Rochester, New York, called Monroe Community College as a two-way, but mainly outfield, right? I was on a travel team and we went down there to play against them and I didn't even pitch and had a really good game in the outfield, made a nice catch and got a few nice hits. And the coach there wanted me as an outfielder. He didn't even know I pitched. And back then, I didn't pitch at all. I just hopped on the mound a little bit here and there because I was left-handed. But ultimately, ended up committing there. He said I could pitch. And my parents, I didn't even want to pitch, honestly, but my parents both wanted me to because why not? I was left-handed. And I had some pretty good potential, pretty good frame. Still had a lot of size to put on. But ultimately, ended up committing there. And then COVID happened. And so they canceled, Monroe Community College canceled baseball for the fall. And so I had a decision to make, was I gonna go there for the fall and start my college career, but didn't have any baseball. And obviously, if you know about JUCO baseball, junior college baseball, you know that the fall is a huge asset for you, right? Because you're playing a lot of games, practicing. So I decided to stay back, decommitted from Monroe and stayed home for a gap year. Worked full time and just grinded away in baseball, getting stronger, started to throw harder and everything. And so I put on a tiny little bit of size. I think at this time I was when I committed to Monroe, I was skinny, man, 6'3", 175, nothing crazy. And then, started working away, eating more in the gap year. And again, I wasn't committed and put on a little bit of weight, got up to 185, still was hitting, still was pitching. And the velo jumped right before I committed. So it jumped from I think I was 85, man, 84, 85, just terrible. I was pulling down, I was shuffle throwing and pulling down 98, 97, pretty easy. So the arm talent was there. I was able to long toss, but the mechanics on the mound didn't click. But yeah, so during the gap year, everything kind of started, going in the right direction. I got stronger and everything. And so got up to 185 and ended up, at this time, I was 90 up to 91, I think, on the mound. And then ended up committing to Frontier Community College for my freshman year of college and near the end of my gap year. Pretty decent junior college and a pretty good conference in Illinois. And I ended up committing there for my freshman year. Again, as a two-way, hitter and pitcher. And guys, at this point, I didn't care at all about my pitching. I was mainly an outfielder, and the people who know me know this is I was pretty damn good in the outfield. I was pretty fast, ran a 6'8", nothing crazy, but pretty fast. Obviously, a very, very good arm in the field and pretty solid right-handed hitter, a decent pop, pretty good average, ran the bases really well, stole some bags. But yeah, so I ended up committing to Frontier as both a pitcher and outfielder. And obviously, at this point, I was throwing 90 up to 91 as a lefty. So the coach there wanted me mainly as a pitcher, but went to Frontier and had a very good freshman year. So my freshman year at Frontier, I hit in the fall. I hit and pitched in the fall, played center, hit 3-hole, led the team in bombs and home runs in the fall, and just had a really good fall season there at Frontier my freshman year. And then the spring came around, I gained a little bit more weight and got up to 93 miles an hour my freshman year at Frontier. And at this point I was all right, man, I'm just not gonna hit anymore, because I was 90, 93 The velo started getting up. I gained like 10, 15 pounds. You know, at this point I was like 205, 210. And everything started working together. Like my off speed was doing really well. My changeup was doing well. And still at this point, like I was carving, and I ended up my freshman year at Frontier. I finished that freshman year as a PO. So I just like, you know, like screw this, I'm not hitting anymore. I was 90-93 my freshman year. And I finished my freshman year with, I think like, these are just my rough stats from what I remember. Like 50 innings, 58 Ks, like 20, 25 walks. Still walk like a decent amount of people, but yeah, like 50 innings, almost 60 strikeouts, like nothing crazy with the walks. Fielded my position, you know, as a pitcher very, very well. I was always athletic. And yeah, like I was 90-93, you know, starting to get some pretty serious attention from scouts. And so when came back to Frontier for my second year, and in the fall again, like just kept getting stronger. This is where the story kind of gets like thrown off a little bit. But so, you know, obviously that summer, freshman summer, just kept grinding away. I played in the MLB draft league, and yeah, did like really well. Still, velo was still there, like 90-93 as a lefty, like 6'3", 6'4", like 205 to 210 pounds. So like still decent amount of ways to go with my frame. Could definitely put on some pounds and some muscle. And so I came back for my second year at Frontier Community College, again, just as a PO. And at this point, I actually forgot to say, but like my freshman year, there was a game where I was like 90-93, and it was like the Fall World Series, and I struck out like 9 hitters in a row. And that was the absolute like top of my college career, honestly. Like I was 90-93, struck out like 9 dudes in a row, and there's a video on Twitter. I might link it, but yeah, like I was just carving. And so anyways, back to where I was at. I came back for my sophomore season, my second year in college, came back to Frontier. And again, like as a PO, obviously I wasn't hitting anymore, like I said, and like was still dicey, man. Like put on more weight, put on more muscle, got even twitchier. And I was like up to 94, and then ended up committing that sophomore fall to Troy University. It's at that time they were like top 25 in the nation. They just lost and they made Omaha this year and lost, but yeah, they were like top 25, top 30 in the nation. Ended up committing there on a full ride. I wasn't gonna pay anything. And yeah, like I was just dicing, man, in the fall there. And ultimately, like after like 2 weeks after I committed, I got up to 96. I was throwing 96 miles an hour. I was like rolling out of bed, throwing 90-94, like just feeling good. And then this is where everything kind of the shit hit the fan. All my coaches at Frontier ended up leaving. The head coach at Frontier, this is my sophomore year, still in the fall, sophomore year in the fall. And I was the only dude committed on this team. And so, yeah, like after I committed, probably 2 weeks after that, hit 96. And then, you know, the head coach at Frontier ended up taking a job at a junior college in Texas because he had family there. And so like nobody knew what to do. And then like a week to 2 weeks after that, all the coaches like left. So he left, and then it was just like a domino effect. All the other coaches left, and we were at Frontier just left with literally no coaches. And so we would just do whatever. Like I was the only dude committed on that team during this time, but it was such a weird time because we still had class and stuff, but like practices were on our own. You know, we would just lift on our own. I was still grinding, and I didn't have a care in the world because I was committed, right? Everybody else kind of got screwed. And so, you know, kept grinding, whatever. And then I was in contact with my coaches at Troy because there was rumors that, not rumors, but like everybody, like half the team was talking about leaving, right? Because we had no coaches, and they were interviewing coaches, and we didn't know who was going to be the coach. We didn't know if the team was going to be fine. And so half the team like was like looking to transfer. And I was like all my roommates were, you know, going to transfer as well. So I was like, shit, like what do I do? So obviously I was committed to Troy at this time, and I was in contact with my coaches at Troy, and they had some pretty good connections. And my coach at Troy told me, hey, like, what do you think about Chipola College, a junior college, really, really good junior college in Florida. And, you know, at this time, everybody was leaving. I didn't know what to do. And you know, the coach there kind of recommended me to go to Chipola. And they're always a really, really solid junior college in Florida. So I was like, you know, like I have this team at Frontier, we have no coaches, you know, let's do it. And so I ended up committing to Chipola College for my sophomore spring season. So this was still at the fall. Everything was happening here in the fall. And then I ended up committing to Chipola for my sophomore spring season. And this is where the story kind of takes a hit. So anyways, the fall at Frontier ends. I go back home during Christmas. This is just off the top of my head what I remember. And I was like dicing. I was still dicing at at Christmas time, you know, waiting to go to Chipola. I was still absolutely dicing. And, you know, really feeling good. You know, obviously I had to deload a little bit, but, you know, started ramping back up to go to Chipola and felt really good. I mean, obviously, you know, everybody knows about Chipola and you know, kind of, there was a little bit of pressure to go in there and perform, but, you know, my mindset was, you know, all I have to do is just throw my stuff in the zone because I knew my velo was going to be there. And at this point, I was still like 6'3", 6'4", like 215-ish pounds, like rolling out of bed, throwing 93. Like I was like, all right, like at the end of the day, I'm left-handed throwing 93. Like what's the worst that can go wrong? So anyways, before Christmas, you know, I didn't throw harder than like 92. I was like 88, 92, like still ramping up, and ended up going to Chipola, getting there early because, you know, junior colleges, you go pretty early. And so again, like just to reiterate, this was my sophomore year in the spring. So my second year in college in the spring for the spring season, I go down to Chipola. First couple weeks there were great, man. Like met all the new teammates, met all the new guys. There was a couple other transfers. My roommate was a transfer, and yeah, like everything was going well. It was a very, very different environment, obviously, you know, being in Florida, and different routine too. They ran practices there completely different. And I'll talk about that in a second. But so like first 2 weeks were fine, man. Like threw a couple bullpens, everything in the zone, like carving, like 88, 90 still my velo was still coming back, obviously, because I had to deload for the winter. But yeah, my velo was still good. Everything, I was a good mind space. Obviously, it was completely different. And so I kind of, I don't want to say suffered, but like my mindset kind of, you know, wasn't as good as it was, because I was a guy at Frontier. And now at Chipola, like I was still a guy, I was still a dude, but everybody was a dude, right? So my mindset kind of had to change. And so, yeah, like I said, you know, first couple weeks went great. Bullpens went really good. And even before we started inter squads, I remember one day at practice, my coach was like, "Hey, Andre, like, you're gonna throw last today." And I was like, huh? Like, why am I gonna throw last? And I ended up throwing my bullpen last, and there was like a couple scouts that came to watch me throw a bullpen, and the bullpen was great. Like one of the best bullpens of my life, with pro scouts there watching me. And it was great. Like through everything in the zone, I was in the process of developing a new pitch. And in a cutter, and threw my cutter in the zone. Like everything was good. Velo was still good. Like again, nothing crazy. Like I wasn't up to 96 at that time again, but like I was still like 88, 91, like just carving, good changeup, really good cutter. And actually something I forgot to mention, that winter before I got to Chipola, I threw in front of a handful of pro scouts that came to watch me. I was really close with one of my old coaches, and he had some connections to a couple pro scouts in the area. And so like as I was ramping up, these pro scouts, like professional scouts, wanted to come see me throw. So I threw in front of them in a winter. But anyways, back to that story. Again, like everything going really well at Chipola, threw in front of pro scouts, like feeling really good. Obviously new environment, and had to evolve into a new mindset. But again, like everything was going well. And this is where shit kind of hits the fan. First inter squad, everything was going well. First inter squad came, and the coach at Chipola, the head coach at Chipola, made me the first pitcher, right? So obviously, like if you know anything about college baseball, they make the best guys throw first. And so like I was one of the new guys on the block, and he made me throw first. And I was like, all right, bet, like let's do it. And so threw first, and just carved the first hitter, like 3 straight heaters. I think it was like 4 pitch at bat, all fastballs, just by him. just just me like trying to throw it like what I did before at Frontier. Like I was just kind of throwing it as hard as I can, but like for strikes, right? Because I was pretty good with my control. And I was like 90, 91, just like carved the first hitter. Second hitter, I think grounded out on like the second pitch. And so I was like, bet, like first two hitters, like I'm feeling good. Still nothing, like still didn't feel any different, like was just carving. And then the third hitter, he was a right-handed hitter, and I got him to like a 0-2 count, and I was trying to K him, and it was like 2-2, and I threw and I hung like a curveball, and he hit like a little, not a dribbler, but he hit like a ground ball through the 6 hole, like between shortstop and third base. Like not hit hard at all, but literally just in the perfect spot for it to be a base hit. Went into the outfield, and I was like, okay, whatever. And then from there on, like this is the climax of the story, guys. And really think about this, because I to this day, I still don't know what happened, because my mindset didn't change at all. But after that, like after he got to first and I gave up that hit, everything like just crumbled. They ended up rolling the inning. After that hitter, there was still 2 outs, like the first inning, I ended up like walking like 2 guys. I don't even remember. Maybe I gave up a hit, ended up walking 2 guys. It was just a blur. Like everything was just a blur after that hitter. And so we ended up rolling the inning, and I didn't pitch after that because we were still like on pitch count, because it was early in the year, and we were just starting to do like inter squads before the spring. And it was just such a weird thing. Like I didn't know what happened, and I ended up talking to, but I was still fine, because obviously baseball, if you're a pitcher, this happens. But later that night, I ended up talking to the pitching coach that was with me at Chipola. And all I remember from that conversation was him saying, oh, like, don't worry, bro. That's probably going to be your worst outing of the year. He said, that's probably going to be your worst outing of the year. And I was like, you know what, man? Like, you're right. Let's get to it. Let's get it. Whatever. And one thing I'll mention about Chipola is that, like, they run practices completely different. The pitchers don't have any time to, when I was there, I don't know how they do it now. But, and again, like I have nothing against Chipola, nothing against the coaches there. Like great guys, great team and everything. Obviously we had a pretty shitty year, but great dudes there with the coaches, great guys. Obviously it didn't work well for me, but it has worked well for a lot of other dudes. And so what I'm getting to is that the way they run the practices there, especially if you're a pitcher, is like you'll get there, you barely have any time to warm up. You barely have any time to do plyos, band work, whatever, maybe like 10 minutes. And then you'll go right to a backfield. Like we didn't even throw in the field. There was like they had the field, the baseball field. And then behind that, there was like just a patch of grass, and we would throw back there. Like it was like right beside the parking lot. And so like I was whatever. I was like, I'm adaptable, whatever. And so we would go there, just throw for like 10, 15 minutes, like nobody long tossed. And for me, if you know me again, like I'm a huge advocate for long toss. Even now, like I'll attribute a lot of my velo goals to long toss and shuffle throws, like max intent shuffle throws. And I just wasn't able to do that. But whatever. But anyways, after that first outing, my coach told me, that's probably gonna be your worst outing of the year. And so, next day happens, and at this point, like I'm starting to kind of put like an unnecessary amount of pressure on myself, because I'm like, I'm here, like I didn't have to pay anything at Chipola, they covered everything with the scholarship, obviously with me being committed to Troy, and Troy was really close to Chipola, so that's where that connection was. And like I didn't have to pay anything. I was a new kid on the block. The coach made me throw first, and so I was starting to put a little bit more pressure on myself, because I was like, well, what are these guys like? What does the team think of me now that that we had to roll the inning? And I'm the new kid on the block, and they think that I'm gonna like kind of take them to the promised land. And I was like, just like putting an unnecessary amount of pressure on myself, man. And let me take a quick water break so I can recuperate all these thoughts that are coming to me right now. And so from there, it was just a completely new environment, new teammates, and new everything, new apartment, new schedule with the classes, and I just wasn't able to kind of get into my groove of things, right? I had a very, very unique routine with my throwing, with my warm-up, just wasn't able to do it. The practices were very, very long in the heat, And I just started, my mind just started racing. And from there on, like the next day, the next couple of days, everything just kind of fell apart. Like I was like talking to my pitching coach, like, what do we have to do to fix this? Like, what did you see? And he just gave me a bunch of things that he saw, and I started to get to work on them. I started using like a band with my pitching on the mound. I started using like a ball on my arm. I started obsessing over video. Like it was honestly bad, but whatever, like still like not that bad. Like I was still able to throw stuff in the zone, and I just didn't think anything of it because I just wanted to work with a pitching coach there, right? Anyways, fast forward to the season starts like maybe 2 weeks later, still fine, like nothing crazy, like maybe like a little bit of like mind blur and like not understanding like what's going on, but whatever, like didn't really think anything of it. And so the first, and like I continued throwing like very mid in inter squads, like not like bad like the Yips, but like those next 2 weeks we had an inter squad every week, or I threw in one game 1 week and I threw one game the other week. So I had 2 more outings before the actual season, and it wasn't terrible. Like I remember it wasn't terrible. I don't even remember what my stat lines were or anything or how it went, but I remember like it wasn't like terrible bad to where like I couldn't throw a baseball. It just wasn't good. And I was like walking guys, giving up hits, whatever. And so the first game, the first tournament of the season happens, and I still was one of the starters. Like the coach believed in me so much that even like with me not showing him anything in the inter squads, and a lot of the guys like know that, your playing time is determined by how well you do in the inter squads and how well you do during practice and stuff. And I didn't show anything. Like I didn't have anything to show for it. But he still was like made me one of the starters for that very important tournament down in Florida. And I think we had 4 games and I was throwing the 3rd game. And again, like I didn't have any results to show for it, but because I was a new kid on the block, like already committed to a very, very good Division I school, up to 96, and he's heard a lot. Obviously, he saw a video of me throw and heard a lot of good things about me. He still made me one of the starters. And I remember warming up for that game and everything was good. Like just really good warm up. Like nothing was really going on. Like I went through my routine. I was in the outfield throwing, and then I went to the bullpen to throw my pregame. And I remember like there was a few scouts there watching me. One of the scouts that watched me in that winter that showed up to one of my bullpens as I was like ramping up, he was there in Florida to watch me pitch that game. And like bullpen was fine. And then I went into the game and everything just crumbled. Like I walked a couple guys, gave up a couple hits, and I think I got through 1 inning and then they pulled me. But like again, like it wasn't to where like it was just like uncontrolled. Like I was still like, my velo was still like 90, 92. I was still like challenging some guys. I think one guy on my team made an error, which obviously for me at that time made everything worse. But I think I got through like 1 inning and then got pulled. And then from there, I remember like when I got back the next day, I remember my Troy coach, like I was like texting him and he was like, dude, like don't worry, like you'll get back to it next outing, like you'll get it next time. And then like I was just constantly thinking about like what is going on, like what is this feeling I'm feeling anyway. And then like at practice, like I would video myself obsessively trying to figure out like what's going on. Like I literally was like 94, 96, like rolling out of bed throwing 93, 94 at Frontier, and like feeling good every single day, to now like I'm walking dudes, my velo is not the best. I don't feel as confident on the mound, and I was just trying to figure it out. And then I had like all these coaches in my ear telling me, it's okay, which is obviously good. Like that's good. And again, like this is completely on me. Like everything that happened, I take full account for. Obviously there was some, the environment change and me having to transfer like doesn't help. But I take full responsibility for everything that happened. And I say I take full responsibility, but at the end of the day, I still don't exactly know how this happened. Anyways, after that, like I talking to my Troy coach, because at this time I was still committed, and everything was fine and still like decently fine. And I kept like obsessing over video, trying to figure out. I kept doing these new banded drills with my pitching coach at Chipola that had like, I'd never done these drills. Like I was literally just like at Frontier, all I did was just, wake up, do mobility, do my like 3 or 4 plow drills, long toss, shuffle throw, get on the mound, just chuck. Not even thinking about it. But at Chipola, like everything changed because of the new environment, the way that I wasn't able to long toss. And ultimately me and my pitching coach being like, what's going on, man? Like he was like asking me like, what's going on? I was like, dude, I don't know. And I was trying to figure it out. And again, like I said, like obsessing over video, doing these weird ass mechanics, with the banded drill. And it just kept getting worse and worse. And it got to a point, like it was really, really bad. And I think I came out of the bullpen the next week and just absolutely shat the bed, walked everyone. And like it got to a point to where I wasn't able to play catch with my partner from like 20 feet. And I literally remember like maybe like 2 weeks after that, I remember I was in the outfield. Like at this point, I wasn't a starter anymore because I was just like walking the house. My velo was down. I was just a wreck. And I kept overthinking everything. Was still like traveling with the team and everything. Was still in like the traveling squad. But it just progressively got worse and worse. It was like a snowball effect. And I literally remember like 2 weeks after that, I remember being in the outfield and like not understanding what's going on. Like throwing pregame and just not understanding like what my arm is doing. And it felt like weird. It felt like I was a robot and I wasn't able to just be loose and nice and just like throw fuel. Like I was like, dude, what is going on? And I literally remember after I got done with my pre-throw, I remember going into the dugout, like waiting for the game to start. And I was talking to one of my good teammates, well, good friends, really good, nice guy. And I was like, bro, like, if I get in the game here, I'm screwed. I literally said that to him. I was like, based on how I felt in my pre-throw, I was like, dude, if I get put in the game in this situation, I'm gonna walk everyone. And this wasn't like a lack of confidence. Like I was very, very confident always. It was just, I guess, the yips. Like I had no idea how to control it. And thank God I didn't get put in the game that day, but I ended up throwing like 8 innings at Chipola. I averaged 4 walks an inning, and 8 innings. I think I hit like 4 guys, but averaged like 4 walks an inning. Gave up a couple home runs. Was just piss poor. Like very embarrassing. And you can kind of understand like how much worse it was considering where I was and where I like got to, right? Because I ended up going to Chipola. I was already committed on a full scholarship to Troy, wasn't gonna pay a dime, and like this big tall lefty, like up to 96, throwing in front of pro scouts, like throwing last on bullpens because pro scouts were kind of watching him. And obviously like none of these teammates saw me at Frontier. Like none of my teammates at Chipola saw me at Frontier, so it was just like embarrassment. And I kept just overthinking it, and I kept progressively trying to figure it out. It got so bad that my parents came down to Florida from Canada to try to help me out. And we literally, like, I don't think I told anyone this, but we rented a facility like 10 minutes away from the field just to see if that would fix anything. Like just to see if I could like figure out my mechanics and my throwing. Because maybe it was just the environment. So maybe I could go to this facility and like figure out my throwing there. And it worked like a tiny bit, but the second I would get to Chipola, like it was just like shit hit the fan. And it was like, it got so bad to where like I didn't want to throw anymore. I didn't want to pitch. And then obviously like it kept getting worse and worse and worse. And halfway up the season, after like maybe 4 innings of me walking the house, and just like throwing 84, 85. Troy, the coach there at Troy was like, or no, like he kept saying, you got this, whatever, I believe in you. And I'll get to that in a second, but yeah, like the season was just like terrible. We had the amount of talent we had on that Chipola team was unbelievable. Like I honestly think with all of those guys that were on the team, and from what I've seen, heard, and everything, if all those players on that Chipola team, if we were all at our best, we're competing with the SEC. Like, we're competing with SEC college teams. Like, that's how good we were. Like, across the board, like pitchers, hitters, just so good. But like a lot of the guys on that team ended up getting hurt. A lot of us had shitty years, obviously including myself. And just like as a team, we didn't mesh. Like, we had like cliques, and it just didn't go well. And so we didn't really we had a shitty year. I think we finished 500, and that's like I say that's shitty for like very shitty for the amount of talent we had, and also, you know, obviously like Chipola being notorious for being very, very good. But anyways, like, yeah, back to the Yips situation. Like, honestly, guys, like, I have no idea how that happened. Like, I think it was just like me putting a crazy amount of pressure on myself for no reason. And we were so bad that one of our last games, this is pretty embarrassing, but like the whole thing is embarrassing, but like I've grown out of it, and I'll talk about that in a second. But like, I remember one of our last games, like we were just getting shat on by a team that had no business shitting on us. And our coach, my head coach at Chipola, we put in like 10 pitchers into the game, and we only had like a few left, including myself. And obviously at this point, like I wasn't throwing because I was just gonna go in there and walk the house. And he was like, who wants to throw? Who wants to throw? Like, I need someone who's going to compete. And it was like me and a couple other guys. And like, usually, obviously I would say, yeah, let me throw. But I was like, I didn't say anything because I knew that if I was going to get put in the game, I was going to shit the bed and walk the house. Like, it was almost like there was nothing I could do to combat this, to fight this. And I knew that if I got in the game, sooner or later, I will walk the house. I will shit the bed. And I really hope that if any of you guys are going through this, know that like this one piece of advice I can give you, it's all in your head. Like, stop recording yourself. Stop obsessing over mechanics. Stop asking your pitching coach what you should do. You have to realize that the root cause of the yips, and especially for me, why this happened, it's fear. It's fear of failure. It's all in your head. Your body knows what to do. For me, I was up to 96, like strong as shit, and every like ridiculous arm talent. Like, I haven't thrown in like, here's an example for my arm talent. I haven't even thrown in like 7 months, and I went to throw my buddy the other day, and my arm felt loose like a cannon, but I still had the yips. My arm angle was still shitty. But anyways, understand that it is all in your head. This is just fear. And I wish I could tell you how to fix this, but the reality of the yips, guys, is like Simone Biles, one of the best gymnasts in the world, Olympic gymnast, one of the highest level athletes in the world, dealt with this. And I think they call it the twisties in gymnastics. So like, this happens to a lot of people. Another example, I think his name is Daniel Bard. I don't know if he's still in the MLB, but he was very, very good reliever on the Rockies, all-star reliever, like 98, 99, with just a wipeout slider. And I didn't even know this, but I read a story about him, and he said that how he got the yips, either in high school or college, and he stopped playing baseball, like he quit, and like 7 or 8 years later, I think he was like coaching and was throwing, and one of his the guys that he was coaching, again, like this is just a story off the top of my head, I don't know the exact story, but I know this happened, asked him like, yo, like, why don't you play anymore? And he was just like, you know what, like let me give it another go. And after that, after 7 years of not playing like affiliated baseball, he just made a go at it. It was like 98 wipeout slider and became an all-star reliever in the Rockies bullpen. So it's like, nobody really understands why this happens, but I can tell you that I know like kind of why it happened. It's all in your head. Like I said, fear. It's nothing physical. And one thing that I would change looking back at it, I still have so much on my mind. It's crazy. Like I know I missed so many details in this, but I'm trying my best to just speak about this off the cuff. But one thing that I wish I did when I was at Chipola and all this bullshit was happening was that I wish that I didn't obsess over my mechanics, and I wish that I didn't try anything new, in the sense that I wish I didn't do those banded exercises. I wish that I wasn't dude, like guys, like I would literally record myself throwing every single day, multiple times to try to figure it out. And I wish that, I say I wish, but like honestly, like it is what it is. Like I'm over it. And I'm very, very happy and grateful with where I'm at right now. But like I said, like for you guys that are going through this, and if you go through this, I hope you don't, but a lot of you guys will, is that you can't record yourself. You have to try to stick to a routine, and you have to really, really do some mindset, like activating, I don't know, like meditate, visualize. And I didn't do much of that, honestly. Like for me, it was just like, how can I fix my mechanics? How can I get stronger? How can my arm move quicker again? And it was just like obsessing over mechanics and just putting in a stupid amount of pressure. An example, and not an example, but just another detail I want to talk about with my Yips situation is I remember like this was like at the absolute worst of my Yips. We would do not 2 hours. We would do a crazy amount of PFPs at Chipola every single practice, and I was one of the best at it. I still to this day like don't understand. Like I was averaging 4 walks a game, but like my coach would hit PFPs and I was on the money every single time. PFPs, like my Yips never affected my PFPs. And I was on the money every single time. Like obviously like really athletic and just on the money, first base, second base, on the money. And another thing too, another funny story is while all this Yip stuff was happening, I remember I was like, it was after practice one day, I was just like down in the dumps, like didn't know what to do. I tried everything and nothing was working. And at this point at this point, like I was not in contact with any of my Troy coaches. So I forgot to mention this, but probably like halfway across the season, where I maybe like 5 innings with like averaging 4 walks an inning, just piss poor, velo down, just in a rut. Like my Troy coaches all stopped texting me. And I just stopped being in contact. Before this, when I was at Frontier, my first few weeks at Chipola, I was in constant contact with at least one of the coaches there. But while I was dealing with this, they just stopped texting me. Which again, like I don't really care. It's just like kind of a part of the story that just kind of made it worse in a way that like, you know, I didn't have that support from them and probably the hardest time of my life. And I'm very grateful to be able to say that is like me being shit at baseball is probably one of the hardest times in my life. Obviously I'm still young and you know, there's probably a lot more hard times that are soon, but yeah, like I just lost contact with them and I was still committed. And I'm getting to that, but anyways, back to that funny story. I remember like after practice, it was like we were using the mound for PFPs and we were tamping the mound to like fix the mound up and fix the dirt. And I remember it was like me and a couple other guys like doing this. And there was like a couple of baseballs like near the mound that we didn't put away, that we had to put away. And I picked one up and I was like, to my buddy, I was like, hey, like you see that Chipola sign out there? And I'll always remember, bro, like I was on the mound and there was like a decent, like maybe like this, like decent size circle, like maybe like 100 feet away, like pretty far. And there was like nobody around and I was just like fucking around. Like I didn't really care at this point because I was just dog shit at baseball. And it was just like the environment I was in was just bad and like new teammates and didn't really mesh with a lot of them. But anyways, so I didn't care. Like we were at practice and I was just like doing this random shit. And I told my teammate, I was like, you see that Chipola sign out there? And he was like, yeah. I was like, watch this. And I had a baseball in my hand. I was like, watch this. I'm hitting it first try. And these two teammates, they're like, bro, like, come on, bro. You're averaging 4 walks an inning. You're not going to hit that sign. You're going to miss. You're going to miss terribly. And I throw it right in the middle of the sign on the money. Boom. And this just goes to show that like the Yips is very, very hard to understand. And it's hard to, I don't want to say it's hard to fix, but it is hard to fix for a lot of situations. Again, like a lot of MLB guys have dealt with this and haven't kind of fixed it. But again, like I'm averaging 4 walks an inning on the mound and my velo is down and my arm angle is shit, yet every single PFP I do is on the money, absolutely on the money, and I'm able to hit a sign like 110 feet away, just on the money. And so like all this stuff that was happening just made it worse. I was like, am I going crazy? Like I'm money in PFPs, I'm hitting a sign 110 feet away, yet whenever I get on the mound, I'm just dog shit. My velo is down, and it was just like a mind fuck, you know. Like I wasn't able to figure it out. I still had access, constant 24/7 access to that facility that was like 15 minutes away, but I only told like one or two of my good friends, teammates, and you know who you are. But like I would just go there late at night and try to figure shit out. Like I would just go, and also like the lifting, we didn't lift at all in season at Chipola. We literally didn't lift. So like it wasn't just a throwing, like we didn't lift at all, and like everything just got, like my entire routine just got screwed. And so I would go to this facility, I had a fob, and it was like 24/7. I had 24/7 access, and I would go to this facility and just like go late at night and try to figure it out. And I wasn't able to. I would go there, throw and lift. Obviously my lifting was good, like I was still strong and fast, but like I wasn't able to figure out the yips. I wasn't able to figure it out. Anyways, fast forward to the end of the season, just in a wreck, like no idea if I was still going to Troy, and I was working out at a facility near my house, still committed at this point. It was probably like a week after the season, and I get a text from my Troy coach, and he was like, yo, like this is the first time he texted me since that like first outing. Keep this in mind. Like no contact with him or any coaches like throughout this entire time. And he was like, yo, like we need to get on a call as soon as possible. I was like, all right, like I just know what this is gonna be. Anyways, like he ended up calling me. It was like a quick call. He was like, you know, like you can't, we're not offering you the scholarship anymore. You have to sign a release. And obviously, you know, like it is a business at the end of the day. But yeah, like it ended up signing a release, did not end up going to Troy, and you know, that fell through. And at this point, like I was like, man, like what am I going to do? Am I still going to be able to play in college? Because just came off of an 8-inning, like 27 walk season. Like it was bad. My velo was down, and again, like, but this entire time, like my arm felt great. My arm still felt like a bazooka. It just wasn't coming out good. And I was like 84, you know, 96 to 84 in like less than like literally like 3 months. And again, like all the stuff with me hitting the sign, the PFPs going well. I was just like, what do I do? What do I do? Like, how do I fix this? Anyways, I signed the release from Troy, and I started like hitting up past coaches, because before Troy, I mean, honestly, like I was like 96, like a lot of Division I teams offered me, some very, very good ones as well. And so I started texting all of those coaches, and literally like most of them just ghosted me. Like most of them just didn't have, they were like before Troy, they were constantly hitting me up, constantly like, oh, we want you. And like after Troy, almost none of them responded. A couple teams in the OVC, Ohio Valley Conference, responded, including the school that I ended up going to, Morehead State University. I'm forever grateful for Morehead. I spent 2 years there. So anyways, I ended up committing to Morehead State University simply because the old head coach that was there, he's not there now, but the old head coach that was there saw me throw in a game. Like he was there in person, saw me like shove in a game while I was at Frontier. And so he was like, you know, like I know what you're capable of doing. I know this past season isn't who you are. And so he offered me, and I ended up committing to Morehead for my junior year. And yeah, I mean, there isn't much to the story after this, guys. Like I ended up going to Morehead for my last 2 years. And I made some good progress. Like I was still like I remember showing up to Morehead my first time, and I was still like able to throw long toss like 330 feet from the stretch, like easily. And so my arm talent was still there. And I remember the pitching coach there, he was like, dude, like what? Like, what the heck is, like, what the heck? And like at this point, like the yips, like I would be able to get on the mound and throw like a decent amount. Like I was maybe like 86, 87, but still like nothing like I was at Frontier at my absolute peak when I was just dicing and shoving at like in the mid 90s. So long story short, like my 2 years at Frontier at Morehead State to end off my college season were not good at all. Pretty like not good. Like so many things happened, and you know, made a good amount of relationships there, and met some really nice guys. But I just wasn't able to figure it out. I had some really good moments. Like my senior year, I remember we were ramping up for the season, and I remember my first ever outing. Well, actually, also I hurt my back. I got a stress fracture, and so I had to miss like most of my senior year in the fall. So yeah, like finally I think got a stress fracture, and like this was I think a buildup of just like shitty mechanics. I ended up hurting my back just because of the maybe the whole year of shitty mechanics from the yips. And so I finally got hurt. I don't know how I didn't get hurt earlier. Now my arm, my arm is still fine to this day. I think there's something gifted. My arm is gifted. I don't know, because my arm would literally never be sore and never hurt. But anyways, I ended up getting a pretty severe stress fracture in my back and had to rehab that. But one of the highest moments I had was my senior year in the fall, not in the fall, in the spring when we were coming back and ramping up for the season. I struck out like 7 guys in a row. Like we were inside in the cages, so it's hard to hit in there, but like still, like I was shoving all 3 pitches, fastball, curveball, changeup, just shoving 7 in a row. And then I was like, okay. And then I was making some good progress. And like maybe like 2 weeks later, I think our second series, we played St. Bonaventure, and I came out of the bullpen in a very crucial spot. Very crucial spot, like bases loaded, 2 outs, tie game, and like very late. Because and my coach put me in this position because I was showing some really good progress, and I struck the guy out on 3 curveballs. I was like, yo, let's go. And like, I felt good. Like my arm, there was still an issue with my arm. There was still a problem with my arm. Like I wasn't able to throw 95, 96. Like I was nowhere near that. And my mechanics were still screwed up, but I somehow managed a way to get my shit in the zone. And so struck the dude on 3 curveballs. And my coach was like, you know what, Andre, like I'm taking you out because I'm going to start you against Kentucky next week. We were playing Kentucky in a midweek next week. I was like, yo, let's go. Like, this is what I was waiting for. And next week comes, I'm at a great mindset, start the game, and I walked the house. I walked the house at Kentucky, senior year. And I get back into the dugout, and I was like, bro, like, I was so close to getting back. Again, like, velo wasn't anything crazy. Like, I was nowhere near, like my peak that like I was at Frontier. But I had such a good opportunity at Kentucky and just shot the bed again. It was like a deja vu. And I went into the dugout and I wasn't even mad because I had no idea what happened. I had no idea how that happened. I have no idea why that happened. There's nothing else I could have done differently. And it was just such a shitty situation because none of my teammates understood, right? A lot of them didn't even know, to this day, don't even know what happened in that Yips time. And it was just like me constantly letting my team down and me like nowhere, like being so below average and knowing what I'm able, and this was, before I get to that, this is what was the hardest for me. It wasn't me not getting drafted. It wasn't me not being the Friday guy at school. It was me continuously having these shitty below average outings while knowing that I'm one of the best pitchers in both dugouts, like every single time. I know that what's inside of me is able to easily be the best arm on the field every single time. And I wasn't able to get back to that, and I wasn't able to combat that. And so that's the shittiest part about it. Even when I was at Chipola, Morehead, I was just like constantly having shitty outings and not understanding why I'm not able to get back to who I am. And so anyways, that's pretty much the whole story. But, you know, I ended up graduating Moorhead, very good grades, but I ended up graduating Moorhead and thinking about, am I going to continue playing baseball? And honestly, I think I'm done. Like I might just play for fun. And if I do, it'll be as a hitter because I'm still pretty damn good at hitting. I hit off my buddy, one of my good friends. He's a very, very good pitcher and throws pretty hard. And I haven't hit in like a year, and it felt like I had been hitting forever. And I went like 1 for 4 off him with a walk, nice oppo line drive. Haven't hit in like a year. So what I was saying is like my baseball career is probably done simply because those last 3 years of my college career took a big toll on me mentally and physically, and that's number one. Number two, I just got burnt out, man. Like I don't love the sport anymore because, you know, obviously those last 3 years, like I had some really good moments, you know, and it was fun, you know, met a lot of great dudes. But I just have no love for the game. Like, and being at Moorhead my last year wasn't really fun at all. We were very terrible as well. We were just very bad again, like pretty talented, but just dog shit as a team. And so that last year at Moorhead kind of sealed it for me. I was like, all right, like I'm done. And what I'm doing right now with Dre for Athletes and posting that content and helping people, I get so much more enjoyment out of helping others become monsters than I ever had for myself, because I was a monster and I still am a monster and I'm becoming even more of a specimen. But I just get more enjoyment out of helping others, you know, reach their goals, their strength goals, their athletic goals, their mobility goals, than just me, you know, trying to, you know, make a comeback. Could I make a comeback? Could I figure it out? I 100% deep inside of me know that I can, because this right here, my left arm, there's something special about it. It never hurts. And I got up to 96. And I know deep down that I'm able to, this body of mine is able to throw 100 miles an hour. And that would be crazy, you know, from the left side throwing 100. But I just have no desire to do it. I have no desire to do it. I don't really miss it, honestly. I miss all my teammates and I miss, you know, the road trips and the food and everything. But like, I just don't miss it. I have no desire to get back to the game. I want to help others, and I want to start this kind of athletic strength coach career of mine. And I'm still very young, so maybe I might change my mind. Maybe I'll be a Daniel Bard in like 7 years, and you'll see me, you know, in the big leagues throwing 100. And also another thing I'll say too is the third reason why I don't really want to is because every time I throw, my lower back, right where I had that stress fracture injury in my lower back, it hurts. It hurts pretty bad. And so, but like I've wrestled, I did jiu-jitsu, I'm squatting like 4 plates on a Zercher squat for reps. Nothing bothers it other than me throwing. Other than me, like I hit right-handed. I know I throw left, I hit right. It's pretty weird. But like nothing bothers it other than throwing. So that's another thing too. Like, I don't know. I might make a comeback. I might not. But one thing's for sure, I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing now with posting this content, you know, helping others. And right now, the only thing I'm focused on is helping others and myself becoming the absolute biggest freak of nature possible. I want it all. I want to be fast. I want to be strong. I want to be mobile. I want to be flexible. I want to be just an absolute specimen. And I'm chasing, and right now, like what's helping me get through this, with me not playing a sport, with me not really competing. I tried MMA, but it just takes a toll on your body too much. And this is beginning to be my career, or this is my career right now, with me being a strength coach, athletic strength coach. So it's like my body's my biggest asset. And so I can't be doing MMA and grappling a lot. It's just not worth it for me. I love doing it, but I have to be all in for me to do that. I'm just not ready to be in that position right now with the mixed martial arts. So like the only thing that I'm focused on is becoming as much of a specimen as possible in the gym, on the track, on the field, whatever, and helping others along the way as well. So yeah, that's pretty much the entire story of my yips. I know I missed a lot of details. I mean, I can even think right now there's a lot of situations that contribute to that story, but that was just off the top of my head. I could sit here and talk about that story for hours and hours. But I think that's enough for today. If you have any questions, drop a comment below. If you want to DM me and talk to me personally, there's in the description, there is a link to my Instagram, so you can, hit me up, follow me, DM me if you want on there. If you want to work with me one-on-one and become a specimen of yourself, there is also a link in the description where you can book a call to where we can talk. I can learn to get more. I can learn more about you personally, and you can learn more about me personally, and maybe we can make a game plan towards your goals. Other than that, just like, subscribe, and like I said, drop a comment if you have any questions. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Let's get it.